Who here has trauma from the ACT? Yep. I think that one of the only good things that happened as a result of COVID-19 was that it threw into question the effectiveness of standardized testing. And it also stops having it as a requirement for college admissions, which should stay that way because it is outdated. Throughout the course of this speech, I'm going to aim to explain why I think that we should get rid of the ACT. There's a lot of reasons, one of them being that it is not effective and not indicative of a student's future or what their success should be. It's also a waste of time and resources in our schools, and it marginalizes and isolates a whole group of people for no good reason. So first of all, the ACT is not accurate. Cindy Long posted an article in the NEA in 2023, and she said that she would like to see a more comprehensive test that really takes into account things that are outside of just grades, such as extracurricular activities and passions and desires, and their schoolwork. So another fault of the ACT is that it tests a teacher's ability to teach to a test instead of teaching the subject and helping students solve real-world problems. So Javiera Solman in 2022 posted in the Hutchinger report an article that basically said that she would like to see less focus on end-of-year testing and something that really encapsulates what a student's life is like day to day throughout their studying habits and things like that. One fault of the ACT and standardized testing in general is that it really harbors this idea of one size fits all, when that's really not accurate. Everybody's different, they have different skills, and some people are just not good test takers. It also leads us to believe that there's one right answer when we all know in the real world that's not at all how it works. There can be a million different right answers. We should not be reduced to a single score because humans are not simple. So Elaine Allensworth posted in the Sage Journals her report in 2020. She said she offered that GPAs are more indicative of a student's college readiness than the ACT is. So that moves us on to our next slide. Is it time to move on? So standardized testing is a waste of time and resources in our school systems because it is not teaching students to think critically or creatively, and it does not teach us at all how to solve real-world problems. So dangling just this one test over people's heads and telling them it's your whole future depends on this isn't fair and it's not effective. There are a lot of other things that are more important in this world, like climate change and pandemics, misinformation, and we're worried about a multiple choice test with memorized answers based on trivial information. So another thing that the ACT does not take into account is diversity of people. It marginalizes and isolates lots of people because the data used to measure student success is heavily dependent upon race and income and family education, which we all know differs from person to person. Also, it's expensive to take the ACT and then to retake it time and time again, and that's not even to mention tutors and like study aids and other resources that not everybody has access to in order to get a better score, which is going to determine everybody's whole future. Another disadvantage is anxiety, because we all think we just have this one shot at this one test and it's going to determine what college we get into and what scholarship opportunities we have. It also creates divisions and labels among people. Like I said earlier, there are other things than just grades that should be taken into account when colleges are assessing students, such as their talents and their challenge level of difficulty in their coursework and their academic record. So Rebecca Zwick in 2007 posted in the Harvard Educational Review that the reason that people hate standardized tests so much is because it acts as a gatekeeper or as something that restricts our access to highly sought after opportunities. So in conclusion, students are more than just a test score. Over the years, there has been little to no advancement and adaptations to standardized testing as the world has changed. I think it's something that needs to be updated regularly, and our institutions place a heavy focus on assumptions about people. Anya Kamenetas in 2016 posted another article in the NPR. She said that standardized testing ignores individuality, and it and it forces reference to quote unquote the average person, when in reality nobody is exactly average. So it isolates a lot of people. And those are the reasons why it's time to say goodbye to the outdated practices and traditions of standardized testing and look at a better option. But at the end of the day, we'll always have our ACT trauma to bond over. So I'm going to open it up now to a question and answer. Does anybody have any questions about anything I shared? Yeah.
Did you get into the college that you wanted to, even with the ACT score you didn't like?
I had to take the ACT a lot of different times and get a lot of different scores. I felt that my ACT score did not reflect my GPA, so it wasn't as much about getting into a college that I wanted, but the scholarship opportunities I was offered, I didn't feel like really matched like what I deserved because I worked so hard in school. And the ACT really just dropped a bomb on that. So that would be my answer to that question. Any other questions?
Okay, so the test score is data. Are you saying that all this data should be ignored because you don't agree with it, with the ACTs?
That's a good question. I think that the data of the ACT is very helpful in assessing, you know, what everybody can do as an average. But I just think that it should not have that much of an impact on our future because it's just a number, right? There are a lot of other things, like I said in the presentation, that should be taken into account and appreciated that a student does. Yeah?
So what kind of metrics should they be looking for, or should the students be measured on?
So I think that things like GPA, things like community engagement and service, people's talents, and also if they play sports and stuff like that. There's lots of other things that can be taken into account to really encompass who a person is instead of just standardized testing. Okay, thank you for your time.